Hey, this is Ruth Hartunian Ellenba, otherwise known as Ravings and Cravings, coming to you here. I'm in Willimantic. I'm talking to Leanne Griffin. We'll get to all of her good stuff in a minute, but I'll give another shout out to Elm Package Store as well as Tony's Pizza for sponsoring this program. Thank you very much. If you guys want to follow me anywhere, you can find me on Facebook, on my Facebook page called Ravings and Cravings, and you can also find me on Instagram, and my handle there is crave eat love with an underscore under each word. So I do post some content there, and of course you can go to the WILI YouTube channel. You will be able to see a visual version of this interview, so you have options, uh, lots of options. So anyway, uh, like I said, I'm here with Leanne Griffin, and Leanne wears and has worn many hats in the food world. And so I'm going to let her tell you all about some of those hats. So welcome, Leanne.
Thank you for having me, Ruth. This is
My
special. I
pleasure.
appreciate it.
Oh, I should say how we met.
Oh, yeah.
You want to go ahead and do it, or should I?
Yeah, we met was it September? We are both on the panel for the Connecticut Restaurant Association Crazies Awards. So
Yeah.
were partially decided by a panel of food experts, and we were sitting next to each other alphabetically, I think. G
Yeah,
and
I think
H.
I think I
Yeah.
was totally out of my league though, because I think you really are the expert, and I'm just I know some things. So tell us some of the things you've done with food.
Well, we really relied on you for Windham County.
Yay,
Yeah,
Wyndham.
and
I
Tallinn
can
County.
hear
Yeah.
for my people. Sure, sure.
Yeah. No, I mean there are people from Fairfield County who actually I'm not even sure if they've ever been there. So yeah. But yeah, I think there's a lot of great food out where you are. So I
Mm-hmm.
think it's really
There
important to
is.
have a voice that was local. So yeah, I am a Massachusetts native who came to Connecticut for graduate school and kind of stayed here. I've been here for 20 years since. I went to Quinnipiac for journalism school. And then after that, I got a job at the Harper Current and I was a web producer. And so
Mm-hmm.
that was my first exposure to kind of Hartford County, the area. And so while I worked in journalism and doing hard news, I would also kind of hang out with the entertainment staff and they would go out for what was then the entertainment product, ctnow.com. And so they would say,
Mm-hmm.
oh, we have to go photograph some martinis this afternoon, or oh, we're going to go check out this new place in
I
West
see.
Hartford. We've got to take photos. And I just thought to myself, oh my God, this is so much fun. So I would, when I had the time, because I was working a morning shift, like 5 a.m. to 1 p.m.
Mm.
And when I had the time, I would do some freelance on the side stuff for them. And I think that's kind of where the food thing kind of started. I had a good time doing it. I didn't really have a background. I didn't have a restaurant background. I just
Mm-hmm.
had a lot of interest and a lot of passion for it. So
Mm-hmm.
started doing that, started contributing on the side, and then kind of moved into the entertainment end of things full time, moving
Mm-hmm.
off the news end of things. So
Mm-hmm.
um, it was a lot of fun, and I just really, I guess I get bit by the bug. I mean, we were talking about the food section of the Current
Yeah.
before, and my job I was sort of assigned to the features department, making their web pages look nice on
Mm-hmm.
the end of it. So I would get the pre-printed section that came out ahead of going in the newspaper on Thursday, and I would just kind of devour the food section and look at what
That's
was the
good.
restaurant review this
Devour the
week.
section.
Yeah, essentially, yeah. What was
Yeah.
the restaurant this week? What was the feature? And then, pulling the photos and making them look beautiful online. And everyone knew to leave the food section for me. They're like, don't touch
Wow.
it. That's Leanne's job.
Yeah.
So
And how long did you do that? How long were you doing that?
I was a web producer for 3 years there. And then I left and tried to pursue freelance content on my own. And that's when I started writing a column for The Current as a freelancer. And then we started a food blog
Mm.
there in 2010. So started doing it and started doing that actually on a freelance basis, but
Mm-hmm.
I put a lot of effort into it. It was anytime there was a breaking story or a trend or a restaurant had something interesting that came up. I
Mm-hmm.
remember reviewing some wild fast food things. Like I don't remember if you I don't know if you remember that KFC had this food called the Double Down. It was
No.
a sandwich that was made out of two fried chicken breasts for the bread. And
Oh.
then it was it was like
Whoa.
cheese and bacon and mayonnaise in the middle.
Oh,
And
it sounds
so
like a heart attack on a bun.
basically, so we had a
Basically.
taste test in the newsroom. I went and bought a bunch of them and we kind of
God.
recorded everyone's it was kind of pre pre-social media food silliness, but I always enjoyed that. And then I would cover the Big E and I would cover, we'd cover cocktail trends and things like that. And it just had so much fun with it. And so I kept doing that while doing other work and working
Hmm.
part-time at a news site in Massachusetts as well. And then I got the opportunity to come back to the current full-time doing food. So that was a
Wow.
dream job. That's a dream job. Writing restaurant, I wasn't really a reviewer. It was more of a features and profiles. I never really felt fully
So,
equipped to review.
so what's the difference between features and profiles and reviewing? What is the difference in content? What are you bringing to the table there?
Reviewing is more you offering your opinion on the
Okay.
food. So you're going and you're saying, I liked this dish.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't like this dish. This is what I did like without the service. I never felt entirely comfortable doing that. I
Mm-hmm.
wanted to tell the restaurant story. So,
Mm-hmm.
we talked about this previously, that going to a restaurant interview and talking to everybody is really rewarding. You think the best part of it is the food, but when you start to get into people's backgrounds and what led them to this industry,
Yeah.
and you hear really interesting things like
Yeah.
they may have immigrated here from circumstances that were pretty dire. They may have come with parents who were immigrants.
Mm-hmm.
They may have left corporate jobs that were really unfulfilling. They may have been dishwashers who worked their way up
Mm-hmm.
into ownership roles. I mean, I feel like the stories are endless
So I
in the food
wonder,
world.
yeah, I'm curious, do you have a heartwarming story that you remember that you could tell us?
Yeah, I mean, they're kind of everywhere.
It's
Sometimes
true.
my favorite was if you were to get an email from somebody and they would say you captured my story perfectly, or
Oh,
that was, you made us sound so good, or and it just
it's the
and
ultimate compliment, isn't
it
it?
really is, especially when you're a storyteller, when you're a writer, you're listening to somebody's soul at that
Mm-hmm.
point, and you
It's
really
true.
need to put
Yeah.
that into a story. And so to me, that was always. But there would be, things of people who had been through horrible things like
Yeah.
a child's untimely death,
Mm-hmm.
or, like leaving war-torn circumstances in
Mm-hmm.
countries that were, or people who had, kind of persevered after an illness or something like that. Like just
Mm-hmm.
people have gone through some real stuff,
Yeah.
and
You
when
know,
they trust you with their story, it's gratifying, and it's kind of an honor at that point to be.
well, and I think, when people bare their souls like that, I mean, I think that says something about you because that means that they probably perceive you as someone who's trustworthy, who can hold the story for them, and who can
I hope
tell it.
so. I hope
Yeah,
so. And I
I
think
think
that
that's
to
what
me,
it
that
is.
was the best compliment that I could be given, was
Absolutely.
told my story perfectly, because it's just you hope nothing gets lost in translation.
Right.
And you hope, and
Yeah.
I feel like I got better over the years listening and picking up on cues and understanding emotions and things like that. I mean, so this is an industry, like we had mentioned previously, that
Hmm.
um it's a very difficult industry, you know. I don't know. There's a
Yeah.
large percentage of restaurants that fail in the first year. There's a lot of time and money and expense and just, the cliche blood, sweat, and tears that go into
Yeah.
building that
Yep.
industry. And so they really are, it's the stories behind it are always pretty significant.
Yeah. What are some interesting things that you've eaten throughout the years? I am sure you must have had your fair share of awesome things to try. Do you have
Yeah,
any notable things?
like that fried chicken thing from KFC.
Yeah, that just
Yeah,
that
no.
no, I don't know that must have had a short life because
Yeah, it wasn't around very long,
yeah,
but
not long.
yeah, I mean, I've eaten everything from, Michelin star restaurants to like the latest fried thing at
Do
the
we
Big
have
E.
any?
Like,
Where do we have those in Connecticut? Where are
not in
they?
Connecticut, in New York, actually, but
Oh,
we have
do we have any? I don't
no,
even know.
Connecticut isn't part of the Michelin program.
It's not. Oh, okay. I
No,
didn't know that.
Boston is actually fairly recently,
Okay.
but Connecticut's not. But there are people in Connecticut who have worked for Michelin star. places or
Hmm.
have been part of a chain that have been, like part of the recognized by Michelin. So yeah,
Hmm.
we have
Hmm.
James Beard Award winners for sure.
Hmm.
So
Yeah, yeah.
um, yeah, but we really do have phenomenal restaurants here. But yeah, I was at the Biggie every year for 15 or 16 years. And so every year it
Hmm.
would be like, what's the fried thing? And for some reason, I always enjoyed that. I enjoyed the weird, I don't know, stunt foods.
I'd
A
be
lot of
with
people
you.
just,
Like the burger
it's
on a
funny.
donut with who
Yeah.
knows what kind of thing.
Yeah.
The
One year
weirder the better.
there was a fried martini one year.
Wow, how do you
They
do
did
that?
they almost made like an alcoholic jelly.
Ooh.
And I would, the way I can describe it is like an alcoholic jelly donut hole. And it
That's
wasn't
interesting.
bad,
It
but
sounds kind of gross. Sounds, I mean, in my mind, I'm like, oh, it sounds like slime.
yeah. Well, it's just like eating a jelly donut, but the jelly was infused with vodka, let's say.
Ah, no
But
big deal then.
that wasn't the issue.
That sounds like an improvement for a jelly donut, don't you think?
It's actually pretty good. But yeah, I, well, I don't know. I kind of think of the breadth of what I've done over the last 15, 20 years. And it's just like, yeah, I've really had a lot to, sample a lot of fascinating things. And,
Is
you
there
know,
anything that you were ever offered that you were like, I am not going to try that?
the one thing I refuse to eat is rabbit because I have pet rabbits. So,
Yeah, you're a rabbit person, so that's not going to
and
happen.
yeah, I've had chefs say, "Oh, I love following your bunny on Instagram," and then offer me a bunny dish, and it's
Don't
I'm
do
really
it.
sorry, I won't eat that. But yeah, otherwise, I'm fairly, I would say, fairly adventurous, and I will try things and certainly try things to be polite. But
What's your go-to after a long day? Like when you have to find something to eat. What is your default mode? Do you have a certain ethnic thing, or like for me, I'm like, I'll look for a bologna sandwich or something.
pet pizza. Pizza's kind of a
Pizza.
go-to. So if I go to a great pizza place, like I work in Avon now, so my office is near Little City Pizza.
Uh-huh.
So I'll order extra and bring it home and freeze it and then
There you
pop a
go.
slice into the air fryer. So pizza to me is
That's the
I'll
way to
make
do
pizza
it.
at home, but pizza, I just kind of feel like it's a complete food. You got your
Hits all the
protein, you got
right
your
notes.
carbs.
Yeah, yeah,
It's delicious. This state is known for pizza.
yes. And we
We have a
recently
pizza
have a
trail now.
pizza trail. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so after all of your Hartford current work, you went on to other things having to do with, well, food, but other things too. So why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Okay. So I left the Harper Current at the end of 2020
Hmm.
and I moved into a pretty similar role at Hearst, Connecticut. So I was a food reporter for it turned out to be virtually all of its properties. So which had grown over the years. So Hearst, Connecticut owns the majority of the newspapers in Southern Connecticut. So
Hmm.
the New Haven Register, the Connecticut Post, the Stamford Advocate, the Greenwich Time,
Oh, hmm.
um, the Middletown Press, and then Connecticut Magazine. And then during the time I was there, Hearst ended up purchasing the Journal Inquirer in
Hmm.
Manchester and
Hmm.
the Record Journal in Meriden. So it started to grow
Hmm.
as I was there. So I was really kind of writing statewide at that point. So where I had been pretty based in Hartford before, I kind of had to learn Fairfield County on the
Hmm.
fly
Hmm.
in New Haven. So, which was great because it ended up exposing me to more of the state. Now I live up in northern central Connecticut, so I didn't
Hmm.
get down there that frequently, but
Hmm.
I at that point expanded my range and I got to learn more about the Sanford scene and the Norwalk scene. And, there was a lot of New York-based brands that would come into Greenwich and Darien and New Canaan. So we were writing about what ended up kind of being sometimes being the first Connecticut location of something, which was
Ah, that's kind
interesting.
of cool.
Yeah. And then certainly Mystic has become the go-to spot, nationally. It's kind of blown up in terms of getting national recognition. So we were doing a lot of
Hmm.
coverage down in Mystic. And so really kind of it was a crash course in the rest of the state,
Yeah,
which I thought
so
was fun.
that expanded your horizons quite a bit then, didn't it?
Yeah, it did. And I think at that point, I really did feel like I knew a lot more of the state. I wish I'd gotten down that way, but
Hmm.
it is such a ride from where we were. So I didn't get down to Fairfield County as much as I would have liked to, but I was tuned into it much more than I had been when I was in Hartford. And
Huh. So,
I like that.
yeah, compare and contrast the food scene in, say, Southern Connecticut compared to like where you are now. Are they similar? Are they different? What are they like?
Well, there's a lot of New York influence, I'd say. So there's a lot of people that live in the towns that are closer to the city, maybe had lived in the city previously and then moved to suburban Connecticut,
Hmm.
to start families or to look for bigger homes. And so there's a lot of New York
Hmm.
influence. There's a lot of, I said, like fancier options
That's what,
that way. And
that's kind of what I'm thinking because I mean, where I am here, I don't see much fancy.
yeah,
There might be
more, more
some.
fancy, more upscale, higher end, higher priced
Yes.
spots. But then there's a lot of health food, juice bars and
Oh,
salad shops and things like that. So,
sure.
a
Okay.
clientele that's looking for healthier food, vegan options,
Mhm.
things like that, green bowls, things like that. So a lot of
Mhm.
the salad chains will come from New York and kind of target the towns around
Yeah, and maybe
there.
ethnic, some broad
Yeah.
ethnic kind of
Yep.
offerings.
There's a lot of when I was spending more time in Norwalk, there's a lot of South American food, which I thought was cool.
Really? Oh.
Peruvian, Venezuelan, some
Oh.
really great Mexican spots.
Hmm.
So yeah, a lot of Latin American Spanish
Mhm.
influence. And I
Mhm.
thought there's a great place in Norwalk called Valencia Loncheria,
Uh-huh.
and it's Venezuelan kind of beach street food. And so there's
Oh,
arepas and empanadas and
that sounds
ceviches. And so if I was down there, I'd go out of my way to go to Valencia because that's a great spot. So
nice. Well,
yeah.
that takes us to kind of the present and what you're doing
Yep.
now. So, what go ahead and explain that.
Yeah, I left Hearst at the end of actually just about a year ago. So November 24. I took a voluntary buyout that was offered because I was looking for a new direction and I'm just was as much
Mhm.
as I love what I was doing, just kind of concerned about the news industry in general and
Mhm.
how there seems to be constant cuts and cutbacks and
Mm. Mhm.
I just I've seen it kind of I don't want to say dwindle because there are so many people doing such great work, but it's an industry that's difficult to stay afloat at the
It
moment. So
is.
I
Yep. Mhm.
I wanted to see what else I could do, and so I spent several months freelancing and working with different publications, Edible CT East and CT Bites, and some other magazines and online websites.
And
And
yeah, those publications are gorgeous too. It's like
yeah,
you just want to lick the page.
yeah. So w- when every time my words get paired with beautiful food photos, it makes me feel like the package is complete. It's just because I'm not a
Yeah.
photographer, but we have some phenomenal photography um, and and photographers around that really understand food, which is a difficult thing to photograph.
Well, and don't you think, I mean, this is a bit of a rabbit trail, pun intended. Don't you think that the crazies should have a category for food photographer?
I think that's a good idea.
Don't you think? I mean,
Yeah,
I have brought it up a couple times, but I'm not going to
yeah,
be pushy, but there could be strength in numbers there. I think that could be
yeah,
and I mean everybody's got a category they want to throw in there, but
yeah,
like you said, we eat with our eyes. The
yeah.
visual catches our eyes and the written catches our heart. So,
Yeah. And when I was working at the newspapers, I would always kind of push for us to have more beautiful food photography, but it wasn't always something that, they'd want to invest in. But I'd say we send a photographer out to do gorgeous shots of
it
lobster
sells.
rolls
It
and
sells.
pizza and you can use them for
Mm-hmm.
a couple of years on end and just if you see this
Right.
gorgeous picture, you're going to click on that story. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
but that did kind of lead me to what I'm doing now. But I've been working for the summer, since the summer, with a marketing agency in Avon, Adams and Knight, that supports the Connecticut Office of Tourism.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been doing content work for ctvisit.com,
Mm-hmm.
um, editing and writing content for the tourism site, which is restaurants, which is attractions,
Mm-hmm.
hotels, outdoors type stuff. So basically all the fun things you can do in Connecticut. So it's been pretty much a natural transition to have the background and the background knowledge I have in the state, and then certainly of restaurants and helping create and push out content that makes Connecticut look cool and look great. And
Mm-hmm.
when you somebody like me who's covered the state for 20 years and believes in it and believes in the restaurant industry here and believes that this is a place you can come to
Mm-hmm.
as a tourism spot and you can have a ton of fun and you
Mm-hmm.
can eat great
Oh yeah.
and you can see world-class attractions and enjoy our four seasons. And so it's been fun. I like being on the other side of it and kind of convincing other reporters from other areas of the country. It's
Yeah.
cool here. You should come here.
Yeah, yeah. Well, if people were interested in, say, reading some of the things that you've written, any of the things as far as content that you've created, is there somewhere where they can go? Like, where's a good place to find your stuff?
Yeah, I have let me pull it up. I do have a portfolio. I'm gonna make
Yeah,
sure
because
it's
there
still
might be some
functioning.
people who might want to take a look at some of the very cool things
Yeah.
that you've done and that you've written.
You can find me on LinkedIn. Might be a good place to
All
start.
right, LinkedIn, and then your name. Go ahead and spell it so that people can find you.
Yes, it's LeeannE, Griffin, Griffin.
Yeah.
See, I've got a portfolio I need to update. I haven't need to freshen that up. That's a good reminder. Thank you.
Sure, sure. Hey, no charge for that.
Yeah,
That's a freebie from me.
thank
And
you.
when you're not doing food things and writing and reporting and freelancing and doing all kinds of things, what do you have free time? What do you enjoy doing? What do people like you who are in the food world enjoy doing
Well, I do go to restaurants for fun.
for fun?
I
Sure.
do, but I'm kind of always, you never really turn your brain off when you do this kind of work.
It's
You always
true.
think,
I
can
think it's
something
true.
be a potential story? So, for example, there is a chocolate shop in Avon called Chocaiko,
Oh,
and it's bean to bar. So the chocolate maker there imports beans from South
ooh,
America and
excuse me.
other places and roasts the beans on site
No
and makes the
way.
bars on site. And so my colleague and I went over there during lunch
Whoa.
and we loved it. And we ended up talking to the owner. And
And you
then
never left?
I pitched it. I pitched it for an upcoming story for Edible CT East. And so I
Yeah.
went back there and did an interview the other day.
Lucky you.
And I said, walked out of there with two chocolate bars because I'm not leaving without buying anything.
I
So
know, really. Forget
yeah.
you gotta do your work, Leanne,
Yeah,
right?
but it was fun. We went for fun, but then went back and turned it into content. And I'd like to do that again. I'm going to go back and clearly buy more chocolates because they were delicious. But
That sounds awesome.
yeah, but even now, if I'm somewhere and I think, okay, I should add this to a piece of content on CT Visit, or I should pitch it for a freelance story, or
Hmm.
you kind of. But there are times where sometimes I will say I just want to go out and have a glass of wine and not take a picture of it.
Yeah, pet your
But it's
bunny.
fun.
Just stay home.
Yeah. But yeah, I do. I volunteer with a rabbit rescue in Ellington.
Oh, and I didn't
And
know such a thing existed.
yeah, so they've been there almost 2 years now, I think. And so I started with them maybe like a year and a half ago.
Hmm.
And I had a rabbit that lived to be 11 and a half, and he passed last December. And
Wow.
we said we weren't going to adopt another until we lost him because I didn't want to put any strain on him. But
Yeah, I'm sorry
now I have,
for the
yeah,
noise. I apologize.
yes, but now I have two.
Hmm.
They both came from the shelter. One of them is a foster that we're going to adopt, but she was homeless. They found her around the streets in Manchester, and now
Yeah.
she's taking over my home office. She's at my feet right now.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
Do
so
you wanna let her have a little appearance?
yeah.
We wouldn't mind seeing her.
Yeah,
And
I
then
don't know if she's
I'll
gonna
have to
like
say
pick her up.
farewell.
She got spayed last week, so she's still kind of
Oh,
recovering.
okay. All right. That's
Yeah,
okay.
but
Well,
she's
listen,
very
Leanne.
cute.
Hey, Leanne, thank you so much for letting me talk to you about all of your interesting things that you have done, all the great places you've gone. I'm here for you in this part of Connecticut. If you want chocolatiers, coffee roasters,
Yes.
restaurants, some other uh, things that are amazing in this area, I am happy to be a resource to you.
Yeah.
Um,
That's very valuable. I appreciate that. Thank you.
And it's been a pleasure. Our time is up, and so I'm going to sign off. This is Ruth Hartunian Ellenba, otherwise known as Ravings and Cravings. I'm signing off here on Good Company, WILI.